Hello, Namaste, and Sat Sri Akal. Over the past 6 months, a very important chapter in the modern history of Sikhism has been unveiling on the internet. Amardeep Singh and Vininder Kaur, a Gursikh couple based out of Singapore, have released a documentary series, Allegory, a tapestry of Guru Nanak's travels.
Diverse cultures and belief systems.
The series takes you on a visual journey.
Today, in the 21st century, geopolitical restrictions and cultural mandates impose immense challenges to trace Guru Nanak text.
We talk to them today about this unique journey and how the travels of Guru Nanak became their life for the past 3.5 years.
Narratives associated with Guru Nanak's voyages are embedded with philosophical expositions that aid the mind's alchemy. Akin to the unraveling of an allegory, anecdotes from his travels evoke insights that facilitate navigation through the mist of life. Allegory, a tapestry of Guru Nanak's travels, a 24-episode docu-series. Join me in this humble attempt to understand Guru Nanak, an embodiment of oneness.
Tell me, what are the stories behind the artworks that you have used, especially your poster? Who's designed that?
The poster's done by Dati, and coincidentally, she's our daughter.
Very well done. And
Yeah.
it depicts the journey very, very well.
So, there could be an entire talk on the artwork, because each element in the artwork has a vision behind, there's a meaning behind, starting from the sights to the nature to the people in front, which are in the foreground. So it is beautifully done by her. The concept was she wanted to encompass the entire docu-series in that one artwork. So I don't know whether you have the artwork in front of you or not. If you can see it, it starts with this lady with a child on her back, and there's this elderly person sitting there with gud da teli unna de hath vich hai, and there's
Correct.
a whole lot of gud next to him. So she's depicted Baba Farid and his story about practice what you preach. There's a story which says कि माँ अपने बच्चे नू लेके आई बाबा फरीद को, and she said गुड़ बहुत खांदा है, शक्कर ते गुड़ बहुत खांदा है. So he said, get him after 6 months, and she didn't know why. When she came after 6 months, she asked why. He said क्योंकि गुड़ में आप खांदा सी, जदों मैं गुड़ आप छोड़ांगा, then only can I tell him not to eat good. I have to see the goods and bad of eating or not eating good. So this is a very profound message. If you see, practice what you preach, because half the time we get sermons from our clergy, but they don't practice what they preach. So this was a moral story behind, and depicting Baba Farid. He was like, the largest repository is there in Guru Granth Sahib. Then there is another person. If you see, he's got a tapestry he's weaving a tapestry.
Yes.
Right, you can see that.
Yes.
And ude upar, if you see, pura Mahabharat banya hoya hai. There's elements of Hinduism.
I didn't realize that's Mahabharata.
Yeah, so elements of Hinduism there. And there is a cow sitting there. Calf, actually, not a cow. Calf. And ਉਹਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾਨ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਪਈਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ. If you see the rice balls in a
Yes.
plate. So that person who's weaving is Kabir. She's depicted Kabir, who's a weaver, who's got in his mind, he's woven a lot of analogies and metaphors in his poetry.
Correct.
Right? And then if you see that calf is sitting, calf de agge ਉਹ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾਨ ਪਏ ਨੇ. And Guru Nanak's philosophy ki ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਉੱਪਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ, it's people or pandits who eat it, right? So she's depicted that. So there's a whole story behind
Each of these images.
each of these
So
elements.
I just want to add one other story to it. So she did this beautiful piece of work with her own vision. So when we started doing it, we had told her go through every episode, right? She went through episodes. To be honest, we guided her, but we didn't tell her what the vision is. She came and she said, I don't want to personify Guru Nanak anyway. I said, exactly. But she picked up each episode, one element, and brought it together, nature and all that. So she's already talked about it. But when we went to the production, now the production, the question is, you can just use that frame, the artwork. It's a massive artwork. It takes one big wall in our apartment, right? You could just use that and have a static picture, which will do fine. But we wanted to give it some element of movement inside it. So we took out the characters. But what do you anchor on? And then that's where you see the tree coming in. The tree, which is again what we talked about in the earlier, the tree is very element. Okay, if anything, that the tree personifies Guru Nanak, and the tree is shaking while in a breeze, and then suddenly comes together and becomes static on that tree in the image, and then the tree turns into a banyan tree, right? Which you would have seen. Now, did we shoot that tree with a purpose for that? No, we were sitting in Singapore. There's 50 terabytes of data. The artwork has been done later. In an isolation, she put a banyan tree there, and we're struggling. We look at various elements, and then this tree is spotted by us, which was filmed probably near Rameshwaram area in South India. It was a windy thing and the fields. And
Isn't this the one in Nankana, sir, I thought? Or
No,
is that you used it there as well?
No, this shaking tree was filmed. It could have been used. It was not used in Nankana, but it has been filmed elsewhere.
Okay.
But it was filmed by us as a tree under the gust of wind in South India. But we are using a tree anywhere, depending on the geographies and places, right? So that tree, then we take it and we told our illustrator, now see this tree shaking and bring it together and bring it to a static element. And it just worked beautifully, right?
And your mnemonic, I would also like to comment on one. Mardana and Guru Nanak, the two swans coming back. And that brings me to my next question, which I want to know, who is behind that pink turban, green turban, and that commonality, continuity of dresses across the shoot? How was that? Was that a plan, or again that's providence happening?
The person behind those dresses is what Nikki calls is Khana Badosh.
Because when we saw the first 3 episodes, and when we went on to the 4th episode, I said, this man is very intelligent. He decided, I'm going to go to one place one time, but in my narrative we are going to be going there and coming back 20 times. So he decided, I'm going to use a continuity dress everywhere. The only thing I need to worry about is how was he getting it laundered.
So let's put it this way. You are a filmmaker, you'll understand this. Or okay. For the people who are thinking, we are representing a sequential narrative of Guru Nanak, first and foremost. Our biggest risk in doing this narrative, which was all the time in our mind in this 17 months of being on the road, is if I cannot do one country, if I've got 170 plus multi-faith sites, if I cannot do one site, first is a country. If I can't do one country, the sequential thing breaks. If I can't do one multi-faith site, which finds a mention in the oldest historical text, the narrative breaks. So that's a divine blessing that all of that happened. Now, when we are presenting it, we are presenting the entire narrative sequentially, right? In presenting the narrative sequentially, people think we are come back and so on and so forth. The fact is, you cannot do it. You get once in a lifetime opportunity to get in with these big cameras. You get once in a permission. You get once to get inside. You better map whatever you want, north to south, east to west, and that's it. Dump it and get out. It's when later, about 18 months later, when you're now stitching the editing, that's where you're building the story. Because for the people, only a select few will come to know that all these details. But for the people, you will have an experience of Guru Nanak. So when you do that, the question that comes in is that 3.5 months in Pakistan, or 5 months of filming in India, or 25 days in Tibet, I would potentially break the narrative, because you do need to use visuals you're using a lot of reflection points. reflection points necessarily need not be on that place. If I'm sitting on a besides a lake and thinking, the lake can be anywhere. That lake can be in North India and can be used in South India. It doesn't matter, right? Because it's a tight crop shot. But if my dress changes, that's a big problem. So for the 5 months you would wear in India that same dress.
Guru Nanak lived a householder's life. Gurdwara Guru Ka Bagh marks Guru Nanak's stay in Sultanpur Lodi with his family.
In Guru Nanak's footsteps, we now travel from Dhubri to Guwahati.
And in 3.5 months there, then 25 days in Tibetan Plateau at that heat and the very rough environment, although it looks like higher altitude, but your skin burns, things are very challenging there. So how do you then get it laundered is what you're talking about. Well, we bought 4 to 5 pairs of each.
Depending on the country and
That's
how many sites we picked up, that many sets for him.
Yeah.
And then if, just in case we needed to. So, because again, to tell you, we were not staying in hotels.
We're not staying. This is a very low cost production.
So we were, wherever we would be.
So in Peshawar, I'll tell you a story. You want to know behind the scenes in Peshawar, right? So we stay. I mean, the reason why we've done it at a fraction of a cost. I don't think the community understands what they've got, because just the time and the value of the money that has been saved is itself a gain for the community, right? But one of the reasons is because we're not bothered about staying in hotels. When you go with the National
team.
Yeah, and when you go with the National Geographic team, everyone want a decent accommodation and all. We don't care. We're all khana badoshes, right? So coming to in Peshawar, so we go and stay in a place, and Sangat doesn't come in Peshawar now. So they have a big by Joga Singh Gurdwara, and the local Sangat is there. But because these rooms are not being used, they're not in the best kept conditions. And we take one room there, we give it to our team also. The team is disappointed. Of course, there are human emotions inside it, right? This is not a great place. But we said, you know what? We have to leave at 3 a.m. for Para Chinar. If you're going to stay in a hotel, and then just organizing the whole logistics, these guys who have to go with us from the community out here to Para Chinar, it'll be just simple out here, right? So just stay in one place, and morning we get up and go. But staying there in the night, she and I were in that room, and the night she wakes me up and she'll describe what happened.
You know, we had traveled close to about 16 hours that day. Yeah. And we reached the Gurdwara and about 11-ish. I thought either my head is spinning or something has gone wrong with me. I tell Amardeep, I said, there are things moving in here. There's something jumping over me or something. So he said, Koi nahi, I think you're too tired. Just go off to sleep. And we are on the floor, sleeping on the gaddas. After about 5 minutes, again, something is jumping. I take out my phone and I switch on the light on my phone, torch on kiti. About 7, 8, inne vade rodents. You know, they were.
And they're sitting on the rajai and looking at her.
It was as if they're playing cricket, you know. I told Amardeep, I said, what do we do? You know, he says, we have to be up at 3. We hardly have 4 hours of sleep, not even 4.
Put your head inside and
he
go to
says,
sleep.
you just tuck me and you tuck yourself. Tuck me also, he's sleeping. He says, you tuck me and you tuck yourself. So I tuck him with just enough that his, nose he can breathe, and myself. And I just went off to sleep. I don't know how. And the next day, the driver says, they usually call you Baji there. So Baji idhar raat ko rehna, because on the way back, we had to stay again there. So I said, I won't like to. So he says, then we'll go directly. We'll not wait. He drove to Parachina, which was about 7 hours one way, about 5 hours one way. 5 hours back to Peshawar. We dropped the guys there, and another 9 hours to get back to Rawalpindi. So this is the kind of commitment we've had from our people. So I don't know how to define this. Even in India, videographers, we did stay in any of the hotels. Kidre roti mili hai, matlab, Deepak Verma, again, a very fine gentleman. He's about Amardeep's age. At times he would have his backache or whatever. He never complained once. Our drivers, for that matter, not even one person we got who was not like gelling with us. So I can only say it was a beautiful journey.
So I see that exhaustion by your journey by episode number 22 and 23. His face starts looking, at that point of time. I know you must have shot it at a different point of time, but by the time you go on to your fourth Udasi, you also look tired. It's
I
like,
think
yaar, ruk jao now.
I think that's the way. So if that's what is happening, I think it's a very good thing, because we're coming to an end. And if it's giving you a feeling like that, I think it's again a divine intervention. But we didn't film it as the last thing. So we were not tired. We were just doing the stuff it was. So the point is,
he's getting noticed.
So the point is, yeah, very few tight crops. But what you're looking at it's just the skin disorder that I have. It's not.
No, I was just trying to mention that it looks like you're getting tired of the narrative at that point of time, saying, okay, I've traveled so much. Now will Guru Nanak stop somewhere?
I'm great. I'm great. If it's happening like that, it's supposed to happen like that. But it was shot very different time.
I have one more question, which is about, did you shoot the Punjabi links also, or are you dubbing them?
So the challenge in this narrative is that for the kind of areas that you're getting in, and since we've not told you the stories, the immense amount of challenges around doing this, right? Let's put it this way. In Tibet, we are introducing our entry into Tibet. And we're standing in front of some prayer flags, and I'm talking about what the Tibetan plateau is, if you remember that scene. To get that particular place, this is a non-risky area. I mean, in the sense that I can't stand it. It's a barren place, we just chosen a place and we're standing there. The winds are gusting, and it's like for a short moment, there was a silence, and that's when you just said it. In that natural environment, to repeat it multiple times, when such long journeys have to be performed, every time you speak a link, it's about half an hour to 40 minutes to get it right. Right? And if you start doing it, I have to do it in Urdu also, I have to do it in Hindi also, I have to do it in Punjabi also. It's going to become, one link will become a 2.5 hours issue, this thing, right? Now you take it into high-risk areas or into a multi-faith site. Let's take, now you'll see it in this Pakistan, and there are devotees coming in. There is a moment of silence you're looking for, and you have to just get it right. You can't be repeating it again and again. It takes you a lot of patience to get that. You would know it as a filmmaker, right? It's a stealth mission. You just kind of moving it naturally. And the moment you start saying, I'll do it in all languages, this film would not have happened. And we're always fighting against time. We have to get to the next destination.
So this is all one take.
No, I would not say one takes one language, but you're in Multan, or let's say Shergarh. You'll see it in episode 2024 at Shergarh. You are standing there at Sayyid Giuliani's site, and there are people walking around. So you have to say it 2, 3, 4 times to get that moment right, and then you have to still say it because you don't know which take will be the right one. So 3, 4 times it'll take, but you just say it in one language, right?
The one thing which we didn't touch on, but was like a small footnote for me, was I don't think anyone else has traveled the Udasi route. Your travel journey is not what is just written by our historians in maybe a Suraj Prakash or a Pant Prakash, or when you say about Guru Nanak. What you've also done, which I personally liked, was you've seen where the Udasis have gone and set up those mats. And they are the one who have actually spread the word of Guru Nanak more than anybody else.
Absolutely. A very integral part of the spread of his philosophy.
Not only spread, if you remember that Sindh episode, also come from Nepal and integrated in the Indus Basin. We ridicule them. I'm trying to see as quickly I can get 10 episodes done of Punjabi. I'm trying to see by mid, I should start releasing the Punjabi. And if I start going by the same cycle of 1 episode a week, this will take us to May, June, July, August, September, October, early November. Pura Punjabi release hoega. फिर उसके बाद 1 महीने break karo, and then start releasing the Hindi version. Take us for 6 months. Urdu version, I will not do this cyclic thing of weekly. I'll just put the Urdu version. So somewhere by June of next, the entire 3 languages will be there, and Urdu will be just put in one announcement and left there. And then we move on. So that's what we are looking at.
Okay. Last thing that I want you to do is make an appeal for your funds to my audience. If anybody can help you in any way, I would request everybody who's watching this to go to thegurunanak.com, watch the episodes. Sare episodes देखो. उथे ना लिख donate button ने. ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸ਼ਰਧਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ with your own capacities donate whatever you can towards the making of the other versions ताकि सारी दुनिया ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲੇ ਕਿ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ I would also request Amardeep ji to make that request to everybody. It would go a long way in supporting. I know there are a lot of people who would be blind donors also, who would not want their names to come up, but I'm sure this will open, if not a big door, but at least a foot in the door for you to help you complete all the projects that you are looking forward to.
No, thank you for making that appeal. And where we stand right now, I don't think we need to prove the value. The value is there. If you see it and if it resonates with you, all that you need to ask yourself is that if this project has zero revenue, if it's like a narrative langar, a free the prashada si soul da ruhani prashada khol ke rakh deta, we are not charging for anyone. Aaj de din mein kehna, if agar western world de andar ek family 5 bandiyan di picture dekhan jave, ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਨਹੀਂ $120-125 ਤੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, right? I'm not trying to put the numbers there, but I'm just giving an example. Think about it. Guru Nanak Sahib da 20 ਘੰਟੇ ਦਾ narrative created by taking multiple risks in a National Geographic format is coming right into your home at free of charge. ਔਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੀ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਮਾਰਜਨ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਐਫਰਟ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਗਰ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਪਾਵੇ, ਕਲੈਕਟਿਵਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, ਹਿੰਦੀ ਤੇ ਉਰਦੂ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਈਏ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਿਰਫ ਬੈਂਡਵਿਡਥ ਦੀ ਕੰਜ਼ੰਪਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਸਟ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਤੇ ਮਾਰਜਨਲ ਕਾਸਟ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹੇਗੀ, ਦੈਟ ਵੀ ਨਾਟ ਇਵਨ ਟਾਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ, ਬਟ ਕੰਟੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਬਣ ਜਾਏ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੀਮ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਐਡੀਟਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਦੇ ਆਰ ਵਿਦ ਅਸ ਹੇਅਰ ਫॉर ਅ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਪੀਰੀਅਡ ਆਫ ਟਾਈਮ। ਇੰਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਣਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ this content is so complicated to create with 50 terabytes of data. If the current team does not do it and we think tomorrow we'll get a new team to do it, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to sign up because it's too complicated to open up. Sari the wiring sharing usse lagi hui hai at source to material to karna. So if the community just comes together for a little bit of this thing ki asi ek movie sacrifice kar di hai, right? And that can get us that much closer. Are there 3,000 people in the community who will actually come forward and support? It's a bit of my disappointment that 5.5-6 mahine hone ja rahe ne puri English release ke toye. I had thought that the community will come forward in much bigger numbers, but in 6 months we've only raised $40,000, right? So I mean, we could have a faster pace and just complete the entire project. That's it.
Wishing you all the very best, both of you.
Thank you so much.
God bless both of you and give you more power to continue doing what you are doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best again.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye bye.
ਅਤੇ ਜਮਾਤੀ ਨਾ ਬਰਾਬਰੀ ਦਾ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਕੀਤਾ। 21ਵੀਂ ਸਦੀ ਦੀ ਜਗਰਾਫੀ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਦੀਆਂ ਰੋਕਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਤਹਿਜ਼ੀਬੀ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਵਸੀ
ਲਿਖਤਾਂ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਤਲਾਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ।
ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਜਨਬੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਿਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਹਿਨੁਮਾਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਟੋਲੀ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਹੱਦਬੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੱਦਾਂ ਸਰਹੱਦਾਂ ਪਾਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਰਹੀ।
गुरु नानक देव जी ने हम लोग को परमपिता परमात्मा का नाम बताया। उनका नाम एक ओम, सारा संसार असत्य है, परमात्मा सिर्फ एक सत्य है।
He had his own message.
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੁਨੇਹਾ ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਦੇ ਏਕੇ ਵਾਲਾ ਸੀ, ਜੋ ਇਲਾਕਿਆਂ, ਜਾਤਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਮਜ਼ਹਬਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਵੰਡੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਸੀ।
All religions.
ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਬੰਗਾਲ ਦੇ ਪਹਾੜਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਾਬੁਲ ਅਤੇ ਪੇਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਦਾ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਨ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਇਤਫਾਕ ਨਾਲ ਰਹਿਣ।
कोई सी बात बोले कि आप में और मेरे में क्या अंतर है?
530 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਕਿੰਜ ਹੋਏਗਾ? ਅਣਜਾਣ ਧਰਤੀ, ਅਣਜਾਣ ਬੋਲੀ, ਉਹ ਅਸਰ ਕਾਇਮ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ, ਸਗੋਂ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਗਿਆ।
which was carried on.
ਉਹ
ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਨਸਾਨੀਅਤ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਮਜ਼ਹਬ ਹੈ। ਇਨਸਾਨੀਅਤ ਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹੀ ਕੀਤਾ, ਬਾਬਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹੀ ਕੀਤਾ।
ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਉਦਾਸੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਬਿਰਤਾਂਤ ਫਲਸੂਫੀਆ ਵਜ਼ਾਹਤ ਨਾਲ ਲਬਰੇਜ਼ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਮਨ ਦੀ ਕੀਮਿਆ ਸਾਜ਼ੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਹਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਸੈਨਤਾਂ ਖੋਲਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਕਾਰਜ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਬਿਰਤਾਂਤ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੀ ਧੁੰਦ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਰਾਹ ਕੱਢਣ ਦੀ ਸੇਧ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸੈਨਤ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਪੈਂਡਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਰੂਹਾਨੀ ਛਾਪ ਇਹ 24 ਕੜੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਦਸਤਾਵੇਜ਼ੀ ਲੜੀ ਹੈ। ਆਓ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਹਿਦਤ ਦੇ ਮੁਜੱਸਮੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣ ਦਾ ਨਿਮਾਣਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਉਪਰਾਲਾ ਕਰੀਏ।